Put on your mental seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Because what just happened on live television makes the Oscars slap appear like a fight between two children over crayons. The internet is forced to stop browsing, put down its munchies, and murmur, "Bro. No way this actually happened," when something like this occurs. Nevertheless, it did. Or at least it seemed to. As Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith just unleashed a verbal nuclear bomb on Jake Paul's career live. Uncensored, unfiltered, and loud enough to rock ESPN's headquarters. Imagine yourself watching a typical sports dispute and anticipating the typical eye-rolling, yelling, and arguments that are hotter than a microwave burrito. However, the energy in the studio abruptly changes. Stephen A. Max Kellerman sits up, his eyebrows raised as if he were going to cross-examine a suspect on Law and Order. As he leans forward with that, "I know something you don't," grin. Then, bang. Suddenly, they begin to allude to something so hot, scandalous, and blatantly dramatic that even the Kardashians would say, "Calm down, this is too much drama even for us." We're talking about odd changes. Rumors in the locker room, purported steroid whispers, and wait. How did he get that large that fast? Arguments that have been boiling like a pot of conspiracy stew in the boxing community. With the exception of today. Stephen A., they flipped it, lit the kitchen on fire, and left like action movie heroes with big slow motion. Explosions behind the Max didn't simply stir the pot, it was live television at its most insane. Max Kellerman chimed in with his surgical calm, like a man prepared to deliver a truth grenade wrapped in Harvard jargon, while Stephen A. paced like a preacher at a Sunday sermon, passionately declaring, "Something ain't adding up with Jake Paul's growth," and the audience. Frozen, astonished. After landing a right hook, mouths hung wider than Jake Paul's ego. The internet was virtually typing itself into a frenzy. Tweets are flying. TikToks are emerging. Memes are proliferating like energy drink rabbits. This was a digital earthquake, not simply a moment. The kind that sends YouTube commentators running to their mics like reporters at a meteor impact scene and topples notification towers. What's the best part? The strain. What do they know about that thick? Tension. The anticipation that pulls you by the collar and murmurs, "Don't you dare click away. We're just getting started." Since if Stephen A., you can tell it's galaxy-level messy since Max is even hinting at something. Soft accusations are not something these to play with. They are verbal sledgehammers. When they even hinted that Jake Paul might not be as naturally gifted as his supporters fervently think. Social media went into overdrive. They destroy careers like if they were producing ESP unbrand barbecue, so hold on. Increase the volume. Disregard common sense. For a man whose scandals have controversies, what just leaked, muttered, burst, and ricocheted across sports media may be the most outrageous Jake Paul scandal to date. Greetings from the pandemonium. The ESPN studio was alive with that delicious, forbidden drama energy from the time that program began. Not the typical Stephen A. commotion, shouting about the Lakers at 9 in the morning. No, this was not like the others. This was the kind of environment where interns stop breathing, producers start perspiring, and the control room guy murmurs, "BRUH... ... Should we cut to commercial?" However, it was too late. Afterwards, Stephen A., when he scents controversy, he transforms into a bloodhound and runs through the scandal forest. This time, the scent trail went directly to Jake Paul's access ramp. Everything began in a subtle way too subtle. Max Kellerman casually brought up Jake Paul's rapid physical evolution with that detective face he pulls when he's about to psychologically destroy someone. That's how all great scandals start. Politely, academically, professionally. Just before the avalanche smashes through the roof and destroys the village. You could hear the punctuation that Max was not using when he stated something like, Jake's transformation has been ... interesting. The internet knew something was going to go out as soon as he raised that eyebrow. Careers have been ended by that eyebrow. Legacies have been questioned by that eyebrow. Whole sporting organizations have been intimidated into altering their policy by that eyebrow. And it went straight after Jake Paul's Kingdom of Protein Shakes today. Stephen A. didn't spend any time. Like a man who had been waiting his entire life for this episode, he leaped in. He leaned forward, pointed his finger, and said a slow, dramatic, and delectable sentence that quickly changed social media timelines. Let me tell you something. This boy doesn't seem natural. Boom, fireworks, alarm bells. A coffee mug was most likely dropped by someone in the back. Fans of Jake Paul could almost be heard running to Twitter, prepared to defend their YouTube champion with 10 million ring lights. Stephen A. wasn't finished. Oh no, he could smell the ratings. He lowered his voice as if he were narrating a documentary on crime. He remarked, "I've been around this sport for decades. I am aware of natural progression. I am also aware of various types of advancement, like a spiritual awakening. The other kinds reverberated throughout the internet, naturally." Max kept it elegant, but in a way that heightened the intensity of the situation. With the voice of a man opening a sealed FBI file, he said, "There have been whispers. There are rumors at some gyms. Some coaches' observations. People are wondering how Jake's abilities surged so quickly. How could his body have changed so drastically? How did he become a cartoon superhero after being an influencer at a pool party?" Smelling drama as a shark senses blood, Stephen A. leaped back in, exclaiming, "I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying something." Traditional Stephen A. linguistics, completely ambiguous, exactly explosive, perfectly designed to trigger a full apocalyptic. State in comment sections. The program abruptly changed from being a sports argument to what appeared to be a live television intervention. Jake Paul was no longer the only focus. No, not at all. This turned into an ethical dilemma, of equity, of performance. The boxing community wondered if the cheat codes had been compromised. The timing was what made everything worse or better, depending on how much you enjoy chaos. In recent training videos, Jake Paul appeared larger, quicker, and more inebriated than a Marvel character consuming espresso-infused pre-workout supplement. Since Jake doesn't gain a single pound without Twitter launching a conspiracy and inquiry, it goes without saying that the internet was already skeptical. Thus, when Stephen A. and Max made these brief coincidental remarks, the people didn't only respond, they exploded. Wi-Fi routers were likely thrown offline by the explosive explosion of the live chat. "He's clean," said fans. Combined with adversaries yelling, "We've been known." Nobody was breathing, and everyone was fighting. The studio appeared to be two individuals standing in the middle of a social media storm that they had deliberately started at that very moment. What's the craziest part? They didn't even need to mention the term steroids, like villains in an animated Disney story. They simply danced about it, prodded it with a stick, and grinned at the camera. Stephen A. "I'm just saying people talk," was the enigmatic mic drop that ended the section. People take notice. People are able to see things. Translation: there's a big event coming up, and Jake Paul's name is all over it. Suddenly, the controversy was no longer a whisper. There was a roar, a tsunami of information. The start of a dispute that was going to blow up well beyond ESPN's boundaries. The internet didn't simply respond when that piece aired. It erupted. It was as if a match had been thrown into a warehouse containing leftover Logan Paul Prime bottles, gasoline, and fireworks. Every social media site became a virtual riot in a matter of minutes. Instagram transformed into a meme factory producing havoc at industrial speed. TikTok became a crime investigation lab. and Twitter became a gladiatorial battlefield. Obviously, the memes gained popularity first. In one, Jake Paul was seen clutching a syringe as if it were a Grammy. Stephen A. was in another, shouting, "I've done the tests," while sporting a lab coat. Max Kellerman was even edited into the well-known Charlie Day conspiracy board scene from It's Always Sunny, when he pointed with neon red arrows at shoddy gym photos of Jake. Celebrities then made the decision to become involved since the Cosmos-like drama. Man. If Jake Paul on anything, it ain't weed, Snoop Dogg wrote in a video while sipping something suspiciously relaxing. In just 12 minutes, the video went viral. That boy is too angry. The internet proclaimed Gordon Ramsay king for the day when he tweeted, "If those gains are natural, I'm a donut for no apparent reason." Naturally, boxing purists reacted as if their entire family tree had been insulted. At 3 in the morning, traditional fans penned paragraph-long dissertations using language like integrity of the sport and back in my day, while Jake Paul supporters retaliated with the fervor of those standing up for their favorite Marvel superhero in relation to superheroes. Jake Paul's metamorphosis began to be compared to the MCU timeline. Phase 1, Jake Paul. Disney Kid was the title of one meme. Influencer boxer Jake Paul. Phase 2. Stan Lee could not have penned a more disorganized development than Phase 3, Jake Paul. The Incredible Bulk. Additionally, while the internet was turning into digital soup, Stephen A. and Max Kellerman feigned astonishment. No one was deceived when they returned to the show the following morning and performed their typical "we didn't expect this" reaction stick. Stephen A. appeared to be a man who slept soundly on a mattress filled with pure ratings. Max Kellerman had the precise look of someone who is sipping his morning tea and observing a civil war that he knows he indirectly provoked. Then, however, things took a turn to Lonavala-level turn, not a dull one. Coaches, gym owners, and anybody else with a whistle and boxing gloves were contacted by reporters, and the responses they received were ... strange. Too mysterious. We can't comment on Jake's regimen, no comment at this time, and ask him. Not us are the kinds of ambiguous answers that give rise to conspiracy theories more quickly than on Jake Paul. Posts a selfie of himself flexing. Even ex-combatants offered their opinions. The change seemed dubious according to some. It was possible according to others. If Jake found something that works, send it my way. Got injuries older than his career, some jokingly said, like a supercharged rumor virus. The controversy changed every hour by day 2. Everyone was wondering how Jake Paul allegedly cheated rather than if, and Jake said nothing at all. Naturally, simply made matters worse. On the internet, silence is like adding gasoline to conjecture. Instead than waiting for explanations, people create whole HBO documentaries in their minds. The controversy was no longer a topic of discussion. It had become into a major cultural event, a show. Every audience member grabbed popcorn and roared at the television in this virtual circus, and nobody really knew. The last, most intense phase of this storm was about to begin. The problem went from being a hot topic to a historic disaster by the third day of this whirling digital hurricane. It began with a few remarks from Stephen A. and Max Kellerman had developed into a full-fledged online investigation. Not only was Jake Paul's name trending, but it was superglued to the top of every platform, and Jake's silence. Oh, how loud that quiet was. Deafening. The kind of quiet that makes detractors thirsty and fans uneasy. His previous interviews were being analyzed by people as if they were deciphering ancient hieroglyphics, like they were examining NASA satellite photos. TikTok investigators focused on every muscle in his workout video. Jake's team, meanwhile, issued a statement that was so uninteresting it ought to have come with a side order of oatmeal. Everyone assumed it meant everything, since it said nothing at all. It said, "Jake is focused on his upcoming fight." That was all. No refutation, no explanation, no apology that puts out a fire. Just corporate insignificance. Companies that had previously lined up to be connected to. Jake abruptly experienced selective amnesia. Businesses that boasted about sponsoring him suddenly pretended they had never heard of him. Some people silently removed previous posts. Others substituted images of salad for Jake's advertisements. Salad, the ultimate distance PR strategy. The boxing community was not any more at ease. Behind closed doors, promoters muttered. In interviews, trainers made dubious remarks such as, "All I'm saying is, the sport has rules for a reason." Fighters used poetic precision to throw shade, stating things like, "Power like that don't come from hard work alone." ... Reportedly, every statement was laced with passive-aggressive sauce. What about the supporters? They divided into 3 groups. Camp 1. The protectors. These people behaved as though Jake were a blood relative. "He just puts in a lot of effort, bro." They posted videos of Jake perspiring in the gym as if he were trying to avoid the controversy. Camp 2. The researchers, people who haven't worked out since high school, suddenly became experts on steroids, searching for phrases like physique anomalies and testosterone half-life on Google. The popcorn gang at Camp 3, the truthful ones. Those who merely wanted to refresh Twitter and watch the world burn. There was fallout everywhere. Talk shows discussed it. Podcasts analyzed it. Even late-night hosts took part. The audience erupted in laughter when someone joked, "Jake Paul's muscles grew faster than my student loan interest." The harm to one's reputation, enormous. Not because anything was verified, but rather because everything was called into doubt. More quickly than facts ever could, suspicion spreads. Doubt grows legs, goes to the gym, and becomes a heavyweight once it gets into the conversation. All of a sudden, Jake Paul was more than just the influencer turned boxer. He was the focus of a worldwide mystery, a riddle, a headline on foot. The story twist, however, is that the controversy enhanced him rather than destroyed him. He became more and more in the spotlight with each article, meme, and angry tweet. Because scandal isn't poison in the age of viral fame, it's fuel. Additionally, as Stephen A. and Max Kellerman witnessed the mayhem, and it was evident from their expressions that they understood the narrative would not end. Instead of ending a chapter, they started a franchise, because one thing is guaranteed regardless of whether Jake gets his name cleared or this controversy gets even more intense. There is still a storm. It is merely circling, building strength and biding its time until the next thunderbolt strikes. And there you have it, the controversy. The mayhem, the charges, the memes, the drama so disorganized that reality TV creators have to wipe away a tear of envy. Do me a favor though. Before you dash into the comments area to fight, defend, shout, cry, or write an essay that no one will read, smash the button as if you were Stephen A. pounding the desk when the Cowboys are brought up. When Jake's pa is attempting to convince everyone on the earth. He hits the heavy bag. Use that passive-aggressive Harvard jargon to attack viewers as Max Kellerman does. Don't even think about clicking away without subscribing. Do you want scandals? Like clockwork, we drop them. Do you want mayhem? We give it hotter than a timeline of a Kardashian couple's romance. Do you want commentary so incisive that it requires a warning label? The insanity resides on this channel. Turn on alerts as well, since the next time a boxer appears too shredded, a celebrity sneezes strangely, or Stephen A., you can be sure that we will cover it before the internet even awakens if you breathe with dramatic intent. Now tell me, by scrolling down, is Jake Paul superhuman? Guilty, innocent, misinterpreted, or secretly fueled by alien pre-workout 9000. With Stephen A. and Max, either reveal something or start the biggest sports conspiracy since did LeBron travel. Let your craziest theories run wild. Share your sexiest opinions. Let go of your most insane thoughts. I want those comments to be chaotic, because the drama never stops at the boxing room. You shouldn't either. You shouldn't either.